Hi guys, and this is when I leave Ushuaia. I left basically just at sunrise, as the sun, as you can see there, as the sun's coming up, and my plan was to get through 2 border crossings in one day and get back into Argentina. So that meant going from Ushuaia, crossing into Chile, going through about 50 to 70 miles of Chile, maybe a little bit more, and then going back into Argentina, and that would be my last border crossing before I head back. I had a long way to go, at about 2,000 miles to travel, so it was pretty, it's one of those days you've got to be really organised and a little bit lucky as well. The actual ride, the trip meter said it's going to take me around about 12 hours. So I left at about 6 a.m, 6:15 a.m. and that was 12 hours, and the thing is I had some dirt roads and 2 border crossings. So this is here coming into the first border. This is a bit better today than what it was when I came, when I headed in. It's the same border crossing, but it was a little bit drier, so I was able to go at a bit better speed to get through here. And so it was pretty good, like that's what, 80-85 kilometres an hour. Most of it was pretty good. It got a little bit sloppy up once you got closer to the border, and there was a couple of turn-offs too. There's a farmland, and a few trucks come off there, and so those sort of areas get a little bit slippery, so you've got to be a little bit careful. Don't go too crazy. But yeah, so I had the first border crossing to get through, and I got through that in really quick time. That took me around about 20 to 30 minutes for both of them. And then the second border crossing was a little bit trickier. That's the one where everything's in the one place, which is a better thing. So you don't have to go from one and then get back on the bike and go to the other one. However, there was quite a few people on the second one, so it took me about 45 minutes to an hour to get through. So the roads are pretty good, so I couldn't complain. And if it had been wetter, I would have had to probably go a little bit slower, because it is that mud that just sticks to your bike. This sort of stuff's fine with a bit of rock, but again, it's, once you get near the towns and that, again it gets pretty slippery. So this is the first border crossing. Usually a bit of a mud heap around border crossings. So I actually parked on the right, but then they told me to go on the left. I just saw some bikes on the right. I thought, how about there? But that guy got told he had to move over to the left, so I basically followed him and then had to go back around. So the first border crossing was really pretty sweet. And again, it's just about being organised. Have all of your there's some alpaca or whatever you want to call them. Have all your stuff at the ready. So I have in my backpack, I've got a satchel that's a waterproof satchel. It's a good quality one. It's not clear, it's a red satchel, but it's waterproof. And I have all my originals in that. Inside that, I have a plastic satchel with all my originals in. And then I've got another one with all the copies. So at certain borders, you've got to have copies of each one, and I detail what you should carry with you to each border. They may ask for it, they may not, but most of them ask for your registration title, your title registration, a copy of your driver's license, a copy of your passport, photo page on your passport. So that's your origin. Even though you have to get an international driver's license, they never ever ask for it. I never got asked for it once. And then just read up to see if there's any more paperwork you've got to get hold of. But this road was about 40-50 miles of this, and then I had about 70 miles of this shit, which wasn't too bad. But at the same time, I prefer not wet. But when there's a bit of gravel there, you got a lot more grip than when it's just mud. And there was bits and pieces of that. And then now I have to get to the ferry, and so I've done the first border crossing, then I've got to get on the ferry, and you've got to, basically if the ferry's not there, you've got to wait, and it might be up to 45 minutes to an hour before you get your ferry, so it's just a bit of luck whether or not you get on the ferry or whether you've got to wait. And I really didn't have a lot of time up my sleeve. I'd sort of consigned myself to riding because it was a paved roads the last part, so I was consigned to riding a little bit into the twilight, which is not ideal, but it's just what you got to do, I suppose. It was only one, I only had to ride into it a few times. And once you get close to the ferry, the road, here we go, the road becomes paved, and pretty comfortable riding. So so I had to do the ferry crossing, and I didn't know how long I'd have to wait for that because it just goes back and forth. The ferry takes about 20 minutes to cross and about 25 to 30 minutes to load, so you could be waiting for an hour, maybe a little bit more. It's only like $5 or $6 to cross to the ferry, but as you'll see right now, I was one of the luckiest people you can imagine, because basically I was one of the last people on the ferry, and it just left within 3 or 4 minutes of me getting on the ferry, and it left. So I was very, very lucky indeed. So that's just pure luck. That had nothing to do with timing, or good timing as well. It had nothing to do with planning. So basically I was right on the ferry, just give it some revs and get it up there. It's usually pretty slippery with mud and shit, but not too bad. So there you go. So that was the ferry, and I was so lucky. I thought, like, that's just saved me about an hour, because I was worried about my time. Takes about 20 minutes, and then you're getting off the other side and on your way again, and it's all paved pretty much after that. So this is now the second border crossing, and this one took a little bit longer. You'll see in the centre you can park on the left or right, and then just go into the middle there. But there was a bit of a crew waiting there, and you see the bus. But I actually got a little. Now I remember, actually I got lucky because they actually waved me through. They waved me through to the front, because all the bus they've got to do all of the people on the bus, so it didn't matter. So actually, now I remember, I actually got waved through, so I was a lucky fellow. I left before the bus did. So I've got everything in my backpack. Some, like they've got the security people were standing out the front, so I just left my tank bag on. Normally you'd grab your tank bag, but you can see by the line. But I got in there real quick and got out of there really quick, so I was very lucky. And so this is the last part of the trip, and just heading into Rio Gallegos, and I'd only spent one night there. Not a big town, but it was pretty nice, and the owner of the property was a really cool guy, and it was just like someone's house on Airbnb. I just had a room, a little bungalow at the front, and like $30 for the night, perfect. So I just needed a good night's sleep, went for a walk, had a look around the town for a little bit, and then got some sleep. Anyway guys, questions and comments below, happy to help.